Good morning, Alex and friends. I'm Grace. Today is Saturday, November 1st, 2025, and you're listening to Alex's News. The high in Riverside today is 84.9 degrees, with the low dipping to 57.2. So expect a warm start to the weekend with milder evenings ahead. Coming up, we'll break down the legal hurdles preventing Trump from mandating proof of citizenship on federal voter registration forms, and examine how the ongoing federal shutdown is forcing the closure of Head Start programs throughout California, impacting families in need, plus other key stories on national politics, local impacts, and global developments. All this and more on Alex's News. Stay tuned. Good morning, folks. In a major development for election integrity, a federal judge has struck down a key part of President Trump's executive order on voter registration. Yesterday, October 31st, 2025, U.S. District Judge Colleen Collar-Cotelli ruled that requiring documentary proof of citizenship on the national form is unconstitutional. Joining me now to break this down is our political reporter, Ethan. Ethan, this seems like a big win for voting rights advocates. Walk us through the ruling.
Absolutely, Grace. According to reporting from PBS NewsHour, Judge Collar-Cotelli in Washington, D.C., issued an 81-page opinion permanently barring that provision from President Trump's March 25, 2025 executive order. It granted partial summary judgment to plaintiffs like the Democratic National Committee and the American Civil Liberties Union. She called it a violation of separation of powers, saying the president has no direct role in regulating elections, which the Constitution assigns to states and Congress.
That's fascinating. For our viewers unfamiliar, what exactly does this executive order try to do, and why the uproar?
The order aimed to fix what the administration saw as weak election protections to boost public confidence. It directed the U.S. Election Assistance Commission, or EAC, that's the bipartisan agency handling the uniform federal voter registration form under the National Voter Registration Act of 1993, often called the Motor Voter Act, to add a demand for proof like birth certificates or passports. Proponents, including Republican allies, say it stops illegal non-citizen voting, which is already a felony with harsh penalties. But critics, as covered by the Brennan Center for Justice, argue it oversteps presidential power and could disenfranchise millions, especially those without easy document access, estimated at 21.3 million voting-age citizens, or 9% of the population.
Building on her April 2025 preliminary injunction, this feels like a knockout punch. Any word from the White House?
Yes. As of this morning, November 1st, 2025, the White House, through spokesperson Abigail Jackson in statements reported by CBS News and The Guardian, signaled plans to appeal, though no formal notice has hit the D.C. Circuit Court yet. They claim Trump lawfully ensured only citizens vote. It's a real separation of powers showdown, proving the judiciary isn't just going with the executive flow.
Love that pun, Ethan. Now this aligns with past court decisions. Can you explain those precedents for folks tuning in?
Sure, Grace. A key one is the Supreme Court's 2013 7-2 ruling in Arizona versus Intertribal Council of Arizona, where Justice Scalia wrote that Congress has comprehensive power over federal election forms under the Elections Clause, preempting state add-ons like proof requirements. Then, in Kansas, led by Chris Kobach, a law from 2011 blocked about 30,000 eligible voters by 2014, causing chaos, especially for women with name changes needing piles of papers. A federal judge struck it down in 2018, and the D.C. Circuit enjoined EAC tweaks in 2021, as detailed in PBS NewsHour and AP News reporting. These show attestation under penalty of perjury on the current form, which just needs name, address, and signature, is enough without Congress saying otherwise.
And the claims of non-citizen voting fraud? Are they overblown?
Way overblown, like a balloon ready to pop. Studies from the Brennan Center analyzed 23.5 million votes in 2016 and found only about 30 suspected cases, 0.0001%. Even the Heritage Foundation's database, cited by conservatives, has just 68 instances since the 1980s, under 0.0001% of over 1 billion votes. Recent audits, like Michigan's 2025 review of 2024 elections with 15 out of 5.7 million ballots, confirm it's rarer than an honest politician's promise. Fact checks from PolitiFact debunk higher rate studies for flaws, and experts say most are errors, not fraud, with deportation as a big deterrent.
Reactions pouring in already. What are key players saying?
Sophia Lynn Lacken from the ACLU called it a clear victory for democracy, slamming the order as a power grab that suppresses votes. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer posted, "It prevents disenfranchisement." On the flip side, the White House vows appeal vindication, per Democracy Docket and Fox News coverage.
Looking ahead, what's next with the broader lawsuit and other election battles?
The case continues in Colocatelli's court on remaining parts, like requiring mail ballots received by Election Day, which could hit mail-heavy states hard. She didn't block that yet, but separate suits, including 19 Democratic AGs in April 2025 and a Massachusetts injunction in June, are ongoing with appeals pending. State efforts, like New Hampshire's new law causing first-time voter confusion, as KCRA reports, show the patchwork chaos. With midterms nearing, this could head to the Supreme Court, escalating voting rights debates.
Thanks for that thorough rundown, Ethan. You've really cast the ballot on the facts here.
My pleasure, Grace.
Good morning, everyone. As we wrap up our morning broadcast with our second story of the day, we're turning to a crisis hitting close to home here in California. The federal government shutdown, now in its 31st day, is shutting down vital services for our most vulnerable families. Specifically, it's devastating Head Start programs that provide early education and support for low-income kids. Joining me to break this down is our education and policy reporter, Chloe. Chloe, this sounds like a real head-scratcher for families starting their day without these lifelines.
Absolutely, Grace. For those who might not be familiar, Head Start is a federal program run by the Department of Health and Human Services that offers comprehensive services like early education, health screenings, nutrition, and family support to children from birth to age 5 in low-income households. Nationwide, it serves over 1 million kids, with a big chunk right here in California. According to reporting from EdSource in their October 31st article by Diana Lambert, the shutdown has paused federal funds, putting several programs on the brink of closure today, November 1st.
Walk us through how this shutdown is directly hitting these programs. I mean, it's not just paperwork delays, right?
You're spot on, Grace. The shutdown started October 1st because Congress couldn't pass the fiscal year 2026 spending bill, making this the second longest in U.S. history and the third under the Trump administration. It's furloughed between 670,000 and 900,000 federal workers, with another 730,000 to 2 million toiling without pay, as nonpartisan sources like the Bipartisan Policy Center and Wikipedia's timeline detail. For Head Start, which relies on annual discretionary grants processed through systems like Grant Solutions and grants.gov, the Anti-Deficiency Act has frozen everything non-essential. That means no grant renewals or notice of award documents, creating total operational chaos, especially with fiscal deadlines looming.
And we've heard about closures already. Give us the specifics on California, Chloe. How many kids are we talking about?
It's heartbreaking, Grace. In Santa Cruz County, Encompass Community Services, a nonprofit running 11 Head Start and Early Head Start centers, shut down all sites yesterday, October 31st, impacting 250 to 300 low-income children and 91 staff. As Lookout Santa Cruz and the Padronian reported, citing interim CEO Kim Morrison, this was because the Health and Human Services couldn't process their November 1st grant renewal in the third year of a 5-year contract. CBS News and the San Francisco Chronicle corroborated this in their October 31st coverage, calling these centers true community hubs for parental support and health services. Staff are now scrambling for unemployment, and families lose childcare, meals, and developmental help. Beyond that, 3 more grantees face closure today, 1 in Los Angeles, 1 in the Central Valley, and 1 in far northern California, all with November 1st deadlines. If this drags on, 4 additional programs hit December 1st deadlines, potentially affecting over 3,000 kids and hundreds of teachers statewide, per Capitol Public Radio and the First 5 Years Fund. Nationally, the National Head Start Association says 134 to 140 programs in 41 states and Puerto Rico, serving about 65,000 children, are at risk this week, with California hit hardest due to our large low-income population.
That's a shutdown that's starting to feel like a full stop for these families. Any relief in sight locally or in Congress?
Efforts are patchwork, Grace. In Santa Cruz, Encompass got $362,000 in emergency bridge funding from the County of Santa Cruz. The Santa Cruz County Office of Education under Superintendent Faris Saba and First 5 Santa Cruz County keeping things open through yesterday, as Santa Cruz Local and Press banner noted. But it's short-term. Starting November 12th, they're partnering with the Pajaro Valley Unified School District for basic childcare at old sites, though it skips full nutrition and health services. Statewide, California's local control funding formula helps a bit with education, but EdSource calls this short-term chaos. Broader ripples include potential CalFresh delays for 5.5 million folks and Medi-Cal risks, according to the California Budget and Policy Center, and 211 San Diego. On the federal front, Congresswoman Maxine Waters, a former Head Start teacher herself, introduced H.R. 5790, the Head Start Shutdown Protection Act, on October 17th. As detailed on Congress.gov and Track Bill, it would reimburse states and localities for fronting costs during shutdowns, with 43 co-sponsors, by October 22nd. But it's stuck in the House Committee on Education and the Workforce amid partisan fights, and Quiver Quantitative sees slim odds without bipartisanship.
Chloe, why should the average Californian care about this, beyond the headlines? It seems like one of many shutdown pains.
For everyday folks, especially in urban spots like Los Angeles or rural Central Valley, this creates childcare voids that mean missed work, lost wages, and strained local economies already facing nonprofit freezes, as the Sacramento Observer and Brushwood Media Network highlight. EdSource and the San Francisco Chronicle project 830 kids losing access statewide starting today, plus 253 staff jobs eroding community stability. Long-term, it disrupts school readiness and perpetuates poverty, hitting immigrant, Latino, and disabled families hardest, per Galt Advocacy. With over 3,000 at stake and no end in sight, it's the defining tale of hardship in the Golden State, demanding action.
Powerful stuff, Chloe. Thanks for unpacking this crisis and all its ripple effects for our viewers this morning.
My pleasure, Grace.
Here are some other headlines. Ukraine is taking the drone show on the road and across the border, deploying homegrown long-range UAVs to strike strategic targets deep inside Russia. Built in scattered, secret workshops and launched under cover of night, the fleet has hit oil refineries, fuel depots, and logistics hubs, with Kyiv saying more than 160 successful strikes on oil facilities this year. Security Chief Lieutenant General Vasyl Malyuk claims Russia's refining capacity is down about 37%, and President Volodymyr Zelensky says the campaign has caused real damage, forcing Moscow to import fuel. A recent strike reportedly ruptured a key military fuel pipeline in the Moscow region, a serious blow to Russian logistics. Analysts caution the vast energy sector isn't crippled, but concede the raids are stretching air defenses thin, while letting Ukraine act without Western long-range missiles and their strings attached. Energy diplomacy hit a gas leak in the Middle East. Israel has pressed pause on a $35 billion natural gas export deal with Egypt, prompting U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright to cancel a planned visit. Energy Minister Eli Cohen says approval is on hold until Israeli interests are secured and domestic prices are fair, while reports cite U.S. pressure, unresolved political issues, and concerns over Egypt's treaty compliance. The freeze chills Israel's largest ever export pact, irking key players, including operator Chevron, and clouding a plan to route Israeli gas through Egypt for re-export to Europe. For now, the region's big pipeline dream is stuck in neutral. In Michigan, the FBI says trick-or-treat turned tip and takedown. Multiple suspects were arrested around Detroit, including Dearborn and Inkster, after agents thwarted what they call a potential terrorist attack planned for Halloween weekend. CBS News reports 5 people, ages 16 to 20, were taken into custody. Sources tell the Associated Press the plot was inspired by Islamic State propaganda. Investigators say the group, allegedly radicalized online, discussed Pumpkin Day in a chat room. The arrests underscore preemptive policing of digital radicalization and may echo a foiled plot targeting a U.S. Army site in Michigan in May 2025. This time, the costumes came off before the masks went on. The FDA is putting fluoride supplements under the microscope, restricting prescriptions for children. The agency says no use under age 3, and for older kids only when cavity risk is high, citing new analysis of emerging safety concerns, including gut issues, weight gain, and cognition. Backed by Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the move stops short of an outright ban. Warning letters went to 4 makers about marketing outside the guidelines. The American Dental Association is pushing back, noting safety at prescribed levels. Toothpaste, rinses, and in-office treatments aren't affected. No need to rinse and repeat. And on TikTok, talk turns to walk. After a Trump-Xi meeting, China said it will work with the U.S. to resolve the app's future, while Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says Beijing approved a Kuala Lumpur transfer agreement. A 2024 law requires ByteDance to divest or face a ban. That's all we have for now. Today's episode was made by Alexander King with GPT-5, Gemini Pro 2.5, Gemini Flash 2.5, and Google Cloud Text-to-Speech. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow. Alex.